Hey everybody, this is my second donut ride. Uh, there's a short, if that's more your speed, on my channel, so you might want to look at that. For this donut ride, I decided to go to Buckeye Donuts on South High Street. To accomplish that, I started at the Scioto Trail, which is adjacent to Lou Berliner Sports Park, rode on the Scioto Trail up to Greenlawn Avenue, went across the bridge at Greenlawn Avenue, and went south on High Street. If you were going to do it, I would suggest a slightly different route, so stay tuned for that. So this long version of the ride will be a little bit different in that I'll include things I did after I visited the donut shop that didn't make the first cut. I think that first video was 3 minutes, was probably about as much as I need to say in 3 minutes. But after I left the donut shop, I did a few things a little bit differently on the way back. I also did some single track mountain bike trails, and I can tell you, if you want to learn how not to do that, I'm your guy. Stay tuned. On my last video, I talked about some of the advantages of riding in the winter, and one of those things was the ability to see a little bit more of the surroundings. And coming up is an area that I saw this summer. It's a bridge. It's a former bridge. You can see the pilings for a bridge. And I spent a lot of time thinking about that when I was there during that ride, and also when I came home. You can see it here, it is off to the right. And I actually convinced myself that it was a former road, probably, that crossed over the river here. And I came to that conclusion when I was thinking about 71, which is just located to the east of the site. Now that I look at this, there's no way. I've concluded that it was a railroad bridge, and I have got further evidence that we'll see on the way back, too. So coming up on the trail is an underpass, and it's an underpass for Greenlawn Avenue. Greenlawn Avenue, there's a protected bike lane, pedestrian, I guess it's maybe multi-use lane, that you cross over Greenlawn Avenue and the Scioto River. You have your first decision to make once you cross over the bridge, and I'll show that to you here in a second. It's kind of a climb out of here. Yeah, so here's the bridge. And once you cross over it, one thing I noted, I went all the way to High Street, which is 23 on that map. Much better going down Front Street. So even though, and this is High Street, even though High Street is a designated, bike-friendly area, it's a busy street, and the Google Maps will bear that out, or if you're on it, it bears it out. This is a Saturday afternoon. It wasn't too bad. But I'm sure this is on the bus lane, and you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic here anyways. Front Street was different for me, at least on a Saturday afternoon. I came back that way. It's got more of an industrial feel. So, maybe traffic was slow because it was a Saturday, but, to me, I felt very safe on Front Street when I came back on it. And I'll show you that view here in a second. So Buckeye Donuts is located next to a funeral home, which is convenient in case you overeat. Here comes the sign up on the right, and I'll turn into the parking lot. While I was there, I was very careful not to film inside and catch anybody in the store. Who am I to be filming people inside the store? But while I was there was probably, 10, 15 people come through. It has a very local feel, although a lot of the people were from out of town. There's my review. The donuts were great. It's kind of a gritty place, a 50s diner. It looks like it was last cleaned in the 80s, but the people were very nice. The waitress that waited on me had been working there for 40 years. Imagine that, 40 years working at Buckeye Donuts. So on the way back, I took Wall Street to Moeller Street and Moeller Street to Front Street, although this is the part of Moeller Street that goes over the tracks. And I just took a look at it and I had to try it. It might have been the scariest part of the ride because this is pretty pitched downhill and the road is not in great condition. Imagine there's no gate at this track, so you kind of got to look for trains too. And I think this is a pretty busy rail line. So I come into this yard or this business. I have no idea what it was. I even looked it up on Google, couldn't quite figure it out. I turned around, it had this gravel, it was wet, which should have been my first clue not to try the single track later on, which I do. Stay tuned for that. By the way, that's my GPS bike computer. It just beeps at me from time to time. There's some settings I can probably change there. So going downhill was scary. Going uphill equally is scary. It's like, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? I gave up on clipless pedals this year, and I'm glad I did, because there were a few parts here where I thought, oh, I'm going to have to put a foot down, and I could have put a foot down had I needed to. Turns out I didn't. So this is Front Street, no sidewalks, but no traffic either, and that might have been impacted by the fact that this is Saturday afternoon. I did note when I was looking at this map that Outdoor Pursuits, their office is down here somewhere. When I used to do rides with Outdoor Pursuits, it was a long time ago, it was Columbus Outdoor Pursuits. But anyway, I think Front Street is a better option than High Street. It saves you 2 lights, and I don't know how bad Front Street might be during the week, but I can tell you High Street's going to be equally as bad, and a lot more traffic there. At least that's my opinion. Do as you will. Coming up is the intersection for Green Lawn Avenue and Front Street. When I cross over Green Lawn on the multi-use trail, this time I elevate the camera on a selfie stick so I can give you this view. Need to work with some stabilization, it's just a little bit of sway there. But anyways, this is the Green Lawn Low Head Dam. It seems like every summer or two I hear about some people drowning here. There's a yellow sign out there, I can't read it. My bet is it says no swimming, but I guess it's just too tempting for some people in the summer. So earlier in this video I complained about the weather. This wasn't a great weather day, but I miss days like this. Since I shot this video, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, in Columbus, Ohio, it snowed about 12 inches, at least where I live. When the temperature gets up to 10 degrees, we're celebrating. I miss the upper 20s and windy days. I would take them back in a second. As a matter of fact, I've not been able to ride much this week at all. If not for the snow and the cold, the trail conditions, the road conditions are terrible. A lot of those lanes that I would normally ride in, I can't ride in them now because they're still covered with snow. And this is like a week afterwards, so hopefully those things will get fixed soon. Coming into view to the right is Berliner Sports Park. Berliner, I believe it has 31 diamonds. I think it's the largest baseball and softball complex in the nation. I think all of the diamonds have infield AstroTurf as well. It is a very busy place during the summer and during those times where you can play baseball and softball. Those stone bridge pilings that we looked at on the way out are off to the left of this trash can, but if you look to the right about now, yeah, right there, doesn't that look like abandoned rail line? Somebody knows. If you know, let me know in the comments. Thanks. So in my effort to expand my cycling repertoire, I decided I'd do this single track, which is adjacent to Berliner Park.
For me.
It did not go well. not long on the experience, but this sucks. That beep was bees. My warning system telling me to get the hell off the bike. So I start again and it puts me right across the trail. I'm sliding in the mud. So I don't know. I always see people on the internet inquiring about the trail conditions for single track at Alum Creek, and I always think it's kind of funny. I mean, you're on a mountain bike, which by the way, I'm on a mountain bike right now. You're on a mountain bike, you ought to be able to handle a little bit of mud, but I got to tell you, I mean, I've never done it before. Now that I've done it, I can see why people ask. You are absolutely stuck if it's muddy, or at least I was. Now, I changed my tires out at the beginning of the year, which was probably a mistake. I've got more like slick tires on my bike, trying to cut down on friction. There's a chance I would have done a little bit better if I'd have kept the original mountain bike tires on there, but I don't know. This was tough. I'm not going to make fun of mountain bike riders anymore. I don't know how you guys do what you do. It looks completely insane and crazy to me. And you're usually on a track like this going downhill. I can't imagine. So eventually I bust through this and find my way to some gravel, and I'm pretty close to my truck. But I've got to tell you, my bike is completely trashed right now. It has mud all over the drivetrain, mud all over the frame. One thing that I guess I haven't done a lot of is clean my bike, and it's also kind of problematic in the winter. I don't know how other people do it, but I take all the outside hoses off during the winter and put them inside so they don't freeze. So somehow I have to find a way to clean my bike in the garage without a source of water, without a hose. I'll figure it out. So this ride could best be described as, I don't know, high calorie, low miles, and also I trashed my bike. But you know, it was a good time, and it makes me think back to the days of upper 20s and windy, and I miss that kind of weather. So enjoy your ride. I would invite you to push my buttons if you stuck around this long. Like, subscribe, share, what have you. Thanks. See you next time. Not doing that. Not on purpose, at least.